Hello, in this video I will try to explain step by step all the options on the web UI of the Biorand Resident Evil 2 Remake Randomizer. So at the current time it's still an early access, so this video might be obsolete in later patches, but at the current time it will help you to understand at least the basics, and for further cases, no matter what, when the full release will appear, I will make a new video to explain all the options again. At the current time, the website to access the randomizer is re2r.biorand.net. I will put the link in the description, and if you have already an account from the Biorand RE2R Remake, it will work because they are linked together. The only difference is because this one is on early access, you need to do some extra steps as I explained on the FAQ, but how to get an access. So let's go first of all into the most important thing is when you access to the generation of your seed, you have this template when on the left side you have your personal profile, then the official profile that my tester I have done until the past 2 or 3 months, but some of them are still in progress because I'm doing extremely regularly some updates that technically can break their profile, so it's still work in progress, but it helps you to have at least a base on how to enjoy at the fullest this project. But of course, if you need to have more personalized or something that fits your taste, you can take it at first, then modify slightly or modify pretty deeply with your needs. The only thing I ask you is to never click into the default profile called by system, because it's a dummy file, and if you generate it by mistake, you can try to finish the seed, but I will say for you good luck, because it will be hell. If you want to have more profile, you can go on discover more profile, and you have all the profile made by some users. Currently there is still 85 profile, but everyone can participate. It's the community that can do their stuff. So if you like it, just enjoy it. So let's come back. The first thing is the generate button. When you have a seed number, so I will always ask you to click on this button to create a new value, and you click generate. I will come back after, but this is where you will generate your seed and then download the file that you will install it to two types of installation, the pack file or the fluffy mode. The profile is typically something on your side. It's pretty easy to explain, so I will skip it. Let's go to the main tab. The main tab is basically all the general option of the randomizer that will imply the deepest modification of the game. The first one is, of course, you have to select the game scenario. So you can select your character between Leon or Claire, or you can select the scenario between A or B. The disclaimer I have to say to you is if you didn't have unlocked the B scenario, the randomizer is not able to help you, so you must finish first Leon A or Claire A to get access to the B scenario, and then you can create a seed for them. Do not ever play a A scenario seed or a B scenario seed in the opposite scenario. It means if I generate a Leon A scenario, do not ever play it on B scenario. Or if you play Leon and the seed is Claire B, it will never work. Then you have the core settings. So this is where you can decide if you want to have an item randomizer. So technically it's randomizing all the item and key item of the game except very specific cases. But you have to think that 99% of all the items of the game are randomized. And it's not a simple randomize. It's like, it means they can be everywhere, and I have added more extra location to them, so every single seed you are playing, your item would be never at the same place. Then you have the enemy randomizer. It's randomizing, as I said, all the enemy of the game, even the bosses if you decided. The only exception is you can have sometimes some enemies that are technically not into your pool of enemy. The reason why it's some enemy are mandatory to the game, otherwise it will crash. So at 99% of the time it's because of the leakers. There is some leaker positions that if you are randomizing as another enemy, the game doesn't like this at all. This is why I say to you, item rando, but with some very specific case. Then you have the door rando. The door rando, it's not like in the OG game, that when you go into a room, it will be randomized into a new room. This is not the case here. It means the doors are swapped. So it means that a door should be, for example, a spade key door. It will be like a hard key door or normal door. For the RPD station, almost all the doors are randomized. For the sewers, most of them, because there is some specific cases like Claire with Sherry. If you do a randomizer of a specific door, you'll be soft lock, so I fixed it. And there is no randomized door at the lab because it's not possible at the current time. Then let's go to puzzles. Puzzles means randomizing puzzle of the game. When you have statue, it means that those statues will be currently still at the same place, but the hieroglyph of the puzzles are different every time, and the only way to get access to resolve this puzzle is to find them on the document. So please take all the documents of the game. They are all important, and if you want to be sure you have a good one, it should have a red title. Red title means the document is randomized. Then you have the safe. The safe remains at the same as the statue, that you have a random combination and you will have the combination into a document. Lockers, also the same. Lockers are all randomized in this game, and if you want to solve them, you need to find them solution into the document. Sewer plugs. It doesn't mean the puzzle plug, it means, so the chess plugs puzzle, it's not this one. It means that the king, the queen, and the rook plug can be placed totally differently into the game. So let's say you have, let's say you can have the rook missing, so you need to find it. You have to be aware that because of this, the king and queen room puzzle can be different, because you can have all of them, or one of them, or none of them. It permits to create more like a kind of more variety to avoid to be bored to do the same thing over and over again. It's not complex. I try my best to not make this puzzle complex, but it just provides you a bit of variety and versatility about your gameplay. The next one is lab greenhouse codes. It means that the codes that are normally on the statue are not anymore available. So you have also read documents to find them. But this is the code that you need to put into the machine to open the greenhouse liquid puzzle and also the ladder to go to the underground of the laboratory. Then, as I told just before, the liquid puzzle, you can have a randomized one. There is no thing that is, in my eyes, hard. It's quite simple, but if you think it's too hard, there is an option after to simplify it, and you have just to push to one button to solve it. So now let's continue about the other section. So if you are playing Leon, you can modify a bit the gameplay of this playthrough by basically just activating the power conduits randomized. So the idea is during all the playthrough, Ada must basically explode those power conduits to or power battery to continue further into a playthrough. So because they are randomized, it will make you feeling like it's always different and you have to think a bit more about where it could be. But if you are like me that you hate this part of the game, you can literally skip it. So the skip of Ada is extremely simple. When you tick on it, it will open all the Annette's secret doors she's going all through this playthrough. So by doing this, you go directly to the end and in the last 30 seconds. So this section is now basically just a bad memory. I did the same with the Sherry section, because Sherry section is maybe cool the first time, but it can be extremely boring after. So the idea is when you tick this one, it will give you in the Sherry's bedroom automatically next to the window scissor and keys. And when you have those, you can directly go to the shift iron rooms and it will trigger the end of the cinematic of this section. Then the RPD weapon boost. If you think it's too hard and you need to have some weapon at the beginning of the game, you can tick this option. It means that you will have with some luck. It's not a full guarantee, but it will force to have a weapon if it's possible at the RPD hall. It's working for A and B scenario. If you think you need a fire weapon in the RPD hall, you can tick this option, force flame weapon in the RPD hall. It means that if you have, for example, an IV or anything that need a fire weapon related stuff, with this it can help you to just have a more easy gameplay to deal with IVs at the beginning of the game, because otherwise you have to think that if you're not aware, IV can be killed only with a fire weapon. If you are ticking those two options at the same time, the random weapon and the force flame will overwrite this option. But to be honest, I like to have only the random weapon one tick on, because from my own opinion, when I was playing with this one, the force flame, it was destroying the gameplay and the exploration of this game. Continuing the weapon options, so you can force to have a weapon on the weapon storage locker in the safety deposit room, the one that normally you will have the grenade launcher or the shotgun. You can also force one in the stars armory, the one you need the USB badge to get access into it. And you have the one in the sewer screen room. This is the one when you have the what I call a tier 3 weapon, so the spark shot or the flamethrower. For the new section called quality memes, this section is some distraction to the game. So if you think your life it will be easier with an easy lab puzzle for the liquid system, you just click on this one and you just need one button to solve it. If you failed it, I can't do nothing for you. No real. The hard greenhouse code, it's if you want to take it, enjoy the hell. I won't explain why. I let you know why it's hell. So RPD library ladder removal. It means that if you check this one, and I highly recommend you for the gameplay, you have 20% of chance to have the ladder in the library room of RPD police station be removed. Why I've decided to do this? The idea is I want to force the player to not being too much relying on this ladder, because it can maybe try to chase some enemies. The fact it could be possible this ladder is not here will force you to be more careful about your gameplay in this room. Then you have replace dogs with foxes. So it's a cosmetic mod. It will not impact anything on the game, just it's purely cosmetic, but I find it very fun. Then there is one option that is glowing keys. It's a very useful options that when you have issue to see some items or key item in this game, this one will help you to have an easier way to spot some key items that can be extremely hard to see, like the keys, like the fuse, or even the middles if they are in some place when the color is very similar to the ground. I decided also to do something called extra challenges options. So if you want to do a permadeath, so no typewriter setting is for you. If you don't want to have any item box in this game, you can take the no item box function. And then you have someone called real survivor. So it means you will have no icon to help you if you find an item. If you think this it will be easy with this, you have to believe it's not at all. It's extremely hard. The reason why I decided to do this, it's for people that want to have a real challenge and feel like the OG game. But if you have no idea how works the item randomizer system, I will avoid you to do this now. And when you are more skilled, have knowledge into this randomizer, you can try it, but I warn you, it will be extremely hard. Then I have an option called VIP. It's just for some people that help me or contribute to this randomizer. So you will have extra thing. Even some normal user can have it. One, it's the only thing that you will have to do. It's if I'm going to your stream and I talk to you and I say, hey, what do you want as a text? It will be in this option. But it's only if I'm coming on my side to on your streams, then because otherwise I will have too much work. Okay, let's go to item tab. So the Marvin knife adjustment. This means when you are randomizing or adjusting your weapon in this game, here for the knife, it will use the durability you have set up for the knife. So let's say if this knife is low durability and medium durability for the range, it will take the lowest value of the durability you have set up and overwriting the one that Marvin gives you. The reason why I have done this is for some people that want real changes. Marvin knife by default is complete and it could be too strong, especially if you are doing the FPS strat on some boss. This is why this option has been done to avoid to have this cheese strat. Then you have the max items per room distribution. What does it mean? It means that you can decide how many items you want on each room based on the total of room. So let's say if you have 100 room, you can decide how many percentage of room will have 0 item, how many will have 1 item, etc, etc, etc. So it provides you a full freedom and customization if you like a gameplay with almost no items at all, or if you want a gameplay when you really like to have items everywhere, you have the full freedom to do this. The only thing you have to be careful is based on what you are doing, you need to adjust the quantity ratio of your items, because if you are doing a seed when almost everything is like 10 items per room, you will have so much ammo that it will be hell after for your item box to just organize everything. Then you have the general drop ratio. So based on the item distribution of the game, you can decide the ratio of all the items of the game. So let's say here, it's like, if I put this like this, here, 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 and here. Here it will like 55% of the items you will loot in this game will be ammo, then 9% health, 10% grenade, 11% powder, 10% ink ribbons, 8% knife. So you will have the possibility to decide if you want to do a full ammo run or a full health run or a full grenade run. Even a full powder run is possible. So it lets you the full freedom to decide how you want to play your randomizer. Then you can decide if you want to have the weapon upgrades of your weapon. So if you think it's too easy to have the upgrades, you can disable it. There is a case or you want all the weapon upgrades of the game, even if you don't have all the weapon being dropped. The reason for this is because they can be used for doing the mix system. The mix system is one of the uniqueness of this project is this randomizer is letting you the possibility to create your own mix with almost everything except weapons. So if you mix two things to have an object, it will be always normal items to give you something. You can have as a result a weapon, but you will be never able to mix a weapon with something else. But I will explain you this later. Then you have the weapon drop system. As explained maybe before, you can have two kinds of weapon selection. The tier selection, it means the randomizer will do the stuff for you, or the manual selection, when you are manually forcing the randomizer to have some weapons with some specific ammo, but we will figure out later. Let's continue. You have the health drop ratio system. So in this field health, so the 9% here, you can decide what is the ratio of each kind of heal you can have from the 9%. So you can have the normal one, the spray, the green, the red, the blue, and you can have the mixes. So if you don't like to have spray, you can remove it. If you don't want to have any mixes, it's possible too. Just you decide the amount you want. It's the same thing with the gunpowder ratio. You can select to have to manipulate how many gunpowder you want. So the normal, the large, the yellow, and the white. So yes, it's possible that on both scenarios for Claire or Leon to have all the powder of the game. It's possible. Ratio run, grenade runs, you can decide the ratio for them if you want acid or flame. To be honest, don't put too much flame one because they are too OP. It can destroy your gameplay. Grenadier ratio, as it said, you can decide the ratio of how many flash grenade or hand grenade you want in the game. So now those stuff after will be a bit more tricky. You can decide when you loot an item. Decide the quantity ratio of the loot. So if you have ammunition, you can decide for each type of ammunition the minimum quantity you can have and the maximum quantity. So let's say if you say ammo quantity minimum at 1 and max on gun ammo quantity at 60, so ammo will be when you will find some ammunition during the playthrough. The value could be between 1 or 60. It's totally random. So I will highly recommend you to always have a value between 1 and 12, because otherwise it could be easily unbalancing the game to have too much ammo. But this will depend about a lot of factors. So when you will do your seed for the first time by yourself, it's normal that your playthrough feel totally unbalanced because this is a process that is extremely slow to do. Then you have the knife durability. The knife durability is actually a bit different. It means that you can decide to have a broken knife directly or a full knife. So 0 means broken, 1 means basically vanilla complete knife. In the real game, the value when it's 1, it's 1000, because technically the knife is a weapon that have 1000 units of ammunition, and when you do a slice, this value is dropping over and over until it's 0 and break it. Hip pouch. In this game you can have a maximum of 6 pouch. So I would always recommend you to have at least a minimum of 2, because otherwise it's hell for a randomizer to deal with all the items you can have in just one room. But you should literally put this value always to 6, because if you put to 0, it's not fun at all. I'm not kidding. Wooden board drops. So you can decide how many wooden boards you can have into the game. If you think they are useless, you must not think like this way, because they are technically more and more crucial to the game, especially with the new mix system, because they can be part of a mix that can save your playthrough to create a weapon or a grenade, even a heal or a weapon upgrade. The meme drops. So if your seed is insanely hard, like only boss or only liquor or dogs, or enemy multiplayer by 3 and 600% extra enemies, believe me, if you don't put this option as 10 or 20 rocket launcher, you will be having a bad time to finish this seed. Let's continue to weapon tier. So if I remember, I told you before, the options that you put here, tier selection activated, it means you have to think about this tab called weapon tier. If it's unticked, you will go to this tab, weapon manual. Let's go first to the weapon tier. Weapon tier. It means that the randomizer will do the work for you to select randomly weapons into the game. So every time you generate a seed, you will never expect which kind of weapon you will have. So what does it mean for you? First, let's go about weapon drops. In this game, you have 4 types of tier weapons. Tier 1 that are guns, tier 2 that are MQ-11, the LE5, so both are rifle. You have the shotgun, you have the grenade launcher, the Magnum, and the SLS-60. So it means that the SLS-60 could be considered as a tier 1 or a tier 2 weapon. And to differentiate them, the weapon upgrade could be different. The tier 3 weapon is the sparkshot and the chemical flamethrower, and the tier 4 is the minigun or rocket launcher, because they are technically too strong. If you select with the slide 3 tier 1 weapon, 2 tier 2 weapon, 1 tier 3 weapon, and 0 tier 4 weapon, it means it will select 3 weapons for the pool of tier 1 weapon, 2 weapons for the tier 2 weapons, 1 weapon for the tier 3. They will be all together into a big pool, and then after, the randomizer will automatically make a ratio quantity about those selected weapons. So you don't have to think about which weapon I need to set up, which ammunition I need to set up. It will do the thing for you. So only thing that the randomizer will ask for you, it's the distribution of the ammunition for tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 weapon. Because most of the time it's highly recommended to have tier 1 pretty high and tier 3 pretty low. Why? Because the tier 3 weapon, if you loot the needle could be too strong and literally destroy your gameplay. This is why you should always remain this value extremely small, and low. Otherwise, it can destroy your gameplay. If, for example, you have selected on the tier 2 weapon 2 times the rifle, and you think it's a bit unfair because you have 2 times a rifle, you can click on this option to basically, if you roll already 1 rifle weapon, the second one will be removed from the pool. So you will have more variety. You can do the same with the Magnum, because you could have the possibility to have 2 Magnum being rolled, because they have 2 types of different ammunition. It could be hell for your inventory. This is why you can also tick this option that if you roll 1 Magnum, the other one will be removed from the pool. If you untick the tier selection, you go to manual, and now you will literally select which weapon you want in the game. It will automatically select weapon upgrade. You don't have to think about it, but the difficulty is you have to set up your own ammunition drop ratio. I will not help you, it's purely for your test. It's harder to configure than the weapon tier because if you have no idea how works the weapon or whatever, you can have some issue if you are having a lot of ammunition at the end of the game. Inventory. This tab is maybe your best friend or your worst enemy. Why? When you tick this option as randomize inventory, it will basically just remove your initial weapon of the game and create a new inventory. You can select if you want a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 or tier 4 weapon at the beginning of your game. If you don't like to have, don't know which kind of weapon you can have at the beginning, you can force the randomized weapon, tick on it and you select the weapon you want. If you think it's a good idea to have at the beginning a flamethrower or a rocket launcher, believe me, it's the worst decision you can do. I would just highly recommend you to just have a gun at the beginning, so a tier 1 weapon, otherwise it will be extremely complex. After you finish to have all your ammo and you are empty, you can just decide to enjoy the pain. If you think it's not enough to have a tier 1 weapon or a weapon with you, the enemy drops can change, so you can select if you want ammunition, heal, knife, wooden board or grenade at the beginning of the game as well, random drops, so it's a chance to have them, it's not sure, but if you really want to have, no matter what, some item, you can force ammunition, flash grenade, heal and increment at the beginning of the game in your inventory. The thing I warn you is having too much stuff at the beginning can destroy your exploration feeling. So be wise about not giving too much stuff at the beginning of the game, because for me it's not how the randomizer should be played. It's just for helping some people that are casual player and want to not suffer too much into this difficult randomizer, but for me it's just like you need to set up a bit more easier your profile for the enemy side or the item side. You can decide how many inventory space you want in the beginning of the game. So if you put 12, it means it will give you two hip pouches next to you in the first row of the game. But be careful. If you put 20 here at the inventory space, and on the item, the hip pouch is 4, so it means it's above the supposed hip pouch of the game. The game will automatically put down your item slots you want to the amount of hip pouch you have selected into the inventory, into the item section. So if it's 4, it means you will have 16 slot maximum. Let's continue into the mix. So the mix system is currently work in progress. So after this video, I will do a patch that will add more field, but if you understand at least the principle with this one, you will have no issues to understand the rest. So what means this system? You have to think that the mix recipe system that you have in the vanilla is not totally gone. Why? For having this now possible, you have to realize that I have to flush the current configuration. So no matter what, the game or the randomizer will basically create a new recipe list based on this tab. So if you don't take time to look at it, your mix will be a nightmare, so it takes some time to read it. The first tab of mix is general, so you can select to have random in mix, random among mixes, or create new mixes. I don't want to explain them right now. I will explain them after. Right now, let's say we are starting here and I want to basically have my powder or my yield being randomized. So what means yield randomized activation? So if you want to have a randomized mix for green and green, you tick it. If you don't want to have a randomized mix, you untick. It doesn't mean you will have the vanilla mix. You need to manually choose what kind of result you want as a mix for the GNG. So here it means for green plus green, the result, if you don't randomize it, by default will be this one. If you are a bit lazy and you don't want to have to you want to reset the thing from scratch, you click to reset to all default value and it will automatically select as one from the vanilla game. If you want to a bit of randomized, you can click on reset to all random value and it will do the same for you. But I will recommend you to not do this. Why? Because this is a dump randomized value system, and if you tick this one, it has some basically checking algorithm to allow you to have duplicate values or items that are not into your seed. So it will allow you to have some software or some mix that will be unable to just create. You can do the same with the ammunition. So you can activate or deactivate the randomization if you have this tick on. But if this is off and you want to have a manual result, you select the one you want. Be sure this is disabled. And this means if I have gunpowder plus gunpowder, it will select this one, but all the rest that are ticked on will be randomized because those are enabled. New mixes could be a bit more complex and having some headaches. The reason why is you need to personalize what you want to mix and what you want to have in the result. First, as a same option as the herb and the ammunition, you can select to if you want to have a randomized mix or a non-randomized mix. The reason why I'm doing this for each of them, you can force to have manual mixes that guarantee you to have some specific mixes like vanilla on gunpowder or whatever. So you know that you will have the guarantee to have something at the very base and let the randomizer to do the rest for all the rest. Then when you want to do your mixes, you can decide for the ingredient of your mix which kind of type of item you want to have for the mix. So it means if you have a mix called ingredient A plus B, you can have those kind of type of item being into the pool of allowed items to be used for the mix. For the result, you can have the same. You can basically decide that in the mix of my results, I can have a heal, I can have a powder, I can have some ammunition, weapons, or upgrades. But if you think having a weapon could be too powerful, you can disable the rocket launcher from the pool. Because yeah, if you mix 2 herbs and the rocket launcher is as a result, I think it's a bit too OP. So this is why it has been disabled. So how you do your mixes. So mixes is maybe not clear right now, but it's still work in progress. So you see you have mix 1, mix 2, mix 3, mix 4. So mix A and mix B will be for the equation A plus B equals C, and C is the result. So you select what you want here, what you want here, and then as a result for this one, I want flash grenades. If I mix green herb and the upgrade of the lightning hulk, I will have a flash grenade. Let's say now I want to have a disable element in this game. You can do something called a nullified scene, a nullified value that is called disable. If you basically have this field, randomized or not randomized, if this field is seen, it will technically disable the whole mix. So this mix, for example here, will never work. If you do this for, let's say here, 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 and here, it means mix 2, mix 3, mix 4, 5, and 6 will be, no matter what, disabled and never used. The reason why I'm doing this is to force or to help the player that want to have mixes to control if they want to have a lot or just a few mixes available, because it can create some challenge, or maybe helping him to balance his profile, because balancing profile could be extremely complicated. Then let's go to mix results. When you have a large powder in the vanilla, you have a quantity bonus of the ammunition. Here it's the same. You can select what is the percentage of quantity bonus you want. So I put it to 25, 1.25, so it's really too much in my eyes, but it's large powder, so I need to feel the player that if he has a large powder, it's kind of a kind of bonus, but it depends what you have in the end. Then I think it's a big mistake of a lot of people that didn't understand the mix system. They thought that if they are not randomizing it, they will have the vanilla output. But no, because everything is erased because of this system, they have to manually decide all the value of quantities they want for each of the weapons. I know it's annoying, but it will give you the full control about how much ammunition quantity you can have in this game. It can work for ammunition, grenades, increments, and knife. So be aware that if you say why you have one ammo as ticket, it's you need to be sure that here you have set up this part. Then enemies. Enemies is an interesting term because you can decide how much enemies you want in this game. So first of all, the enemy multiplayer is basically um, uh, when you have an enemy, a vanilla, a normal enemy of the game. Enemy multiplayer means it will duplicate the same enemy at the same place. So if you say multiplayer by 3, if you have one enemy, you will have 3 times more enemy at the same place because they are duplicate. But what does it mean extra enemies? It means that it will create a new enemy at a place you have never seen ever because the game doesn't know it. I have created new position for the enemy in almost every room of the game. It's still work in progress because you can feel some rooms are empty. But extra enemies is where for me it's the most interesting part because you will not expect where the enemy is. It could be a bit not perfect at some moments, but if you do an enemy multiplayer by 2 plus a 100% and 150% extra enemy, believe me, you will understand what is a real challenge. I would recommend you to not go above 300% extra enemies if you don't know how to manipulate the different enemies of the game because you will crash the engine. Then, Mr. X will not follow you. It's a very interesting option that lets Mr. X, not basically the event one. If you are generating a Mr. X into a room, he will stay into the room that he was created. So you think it's good, but believe me, it could be hell. Because if the Mr. X that is randomized is in the library, you can't leave the library, and if you have to move the library if you have to do the library puzzle and he's around you and you can't leave him, it could be a nightmare, but I really like this feature. Then you have zombies follow you much further. It means that I made the enemy more aggressive and try to follow you a bit more, being able to open doors more regularly, so it will feel you that you will be never safe. And this is what Resident Evil 2 for me is basically created, contrary to RE4 Remake. RE2 Remake is a survivor puzzle game, and RE4 Remake is an action game, and the fact zombies can follow you everywhere is what this game is supposed to do, make you feeling uncomfortable every time. Disable corpse randomizer. It means sometimes you have some rooms that have a lot of dead enemies, but when with the randomizer, those dead enemies are considered as enemies, so they can be rolled by something else. It will create some situation where there is so much enemy that it's not fun at all. For some people that want a chill playthrough, but if people want hell, keep it this antic and you will understand what is hell into some very specific room of the game because they have too much dead corpse. Then you have disable enemy player in pre-orphanage area. It means that this zone for Claire before the orphanage has a lot of enemy, and if you have a huge multiplayer thing plus extra enemy system, it's maybe considered as one of the worst section of the game for Claire. So the fact you can tick this one will decrease the difficulty and make this zone more reliable. If you like challenge, keep it untick. No mysteries means all the mysteries of the game will be changed with something else. The only thing I ask you is for the helicopter cinematic, do not ever shoot the new enemy that will basically push the helicopter, otherwise you'll be softlock. So I warn you for this. No liquor dogs at the bottom of sewers. It means for this case that you can be having a bad time in the water to have dogs and liquors, and because they are under the water and you can't see them, it's hard to aim at them. So to reach the king sewers, the king queen sewers room, this option is highly recommended. Boss randomizer is for the fight. Means you can have G1, G2, G3, G4. No, not G4. G1 and G3 having different enemies. G2 can't be randomized because it's an event boss, and G4 I'm waiting for more data, but I don't think I can randomize it for now. So if you want some challenge, there is a field called Extreme Battle Style Difficulty from 0 to 5. 0 means it's vanilla, default fight boss. And the more the level is higher, the more you will have to fight more enemies with your boss, and the health of the boss will be higher. Currently, I recommend you to not go above 3 if you want a challenging one, but if you want the real hardcore difficulty, go to 5, but be aware, it's extremely hard. Then, the Super X combatant. So, you have to think that this boss fight is a time boss. No matter what, after an amount of time, you will have the weapon to just kill him. So you can decrease or increase the time of the combat. By default, it's 210 seconds, but you can decrease to 30 seconds, or you can run it to 420 seconds. So it's all up to you to decide if you want a short fight or a long fight. G1, you can decide all kind of enemies in this game. I just recommend you to not activate Mr. X for Claire because it's not working well in G1. For G3, there is no problem normally. Enemy ratio of the game. The enemy ratio is so far pretty simplistic. You just decide what is the percentage of enemy you want for each of them. For me, G1 is considered a normal enemy. It's a pretty cool one, but the issue is G1 is not working as a normal enemy because sometimes it is working, sometimes it is not. I have no idea, no explanation why it's doing this, but let's say G1 may put you in softlock if you're stuck into a place and don't want to move. You have a field called also boss. Boss is when this has a percentage like here, 3%, it will give you a probability to have how many how much the bot for what kind of bots you want to see into your playthrough. I will ask you to never activate G2 for now. G2 is really not working well. It's a very boring boss walking around. G3 is very fun. G4 can give you some problems because if G4 is in a very narrow room and is running, it could be stuck running indefinitely, so you are basically dying if he's doing this. Super X is by far the best enemy in this game. If you have it as a normal enemy and you put it slow HP, for low HP, is extremely interesting. Then zombie ratio, you can decide male, woman or fat zombies. It's all depends of your taste. The reason why I put them differently is because for the health you can decide if you want classic health, low health or a very chunky health for all of them, so it creates more versatility of the randomizer. You can decide for the zombies if they are basically intact or having only the half body still available, or the left arm being removed, the right, the left leg, whatever. You're just creating more kind of variety. And believe me, half body or what is the word? Crawler enemy are, if you think they are easy, it's not at all. IV options. You can decide the real HP of the IV. You can decide what is the recovery time when all the bubbles are exploded. So you can decide to have the IV coming back immediately after all the bubbles being popped, or having 5 minutes of downtime when it's not the case. If you want to play challenges, take this option to have this timer being randomized between 1 and 100. The Mr. X recovery time is the same. You can have Mr. X recovering almost instantly or after 300 seconds. Then you can decide to have a random timer to hit, so you can be troll or you can be lucky. The L system. So you have the progressive difficulty. So all along the game, you can decide to just pump progressively or raise progressively the HP of the enemy. So if you have a male zombie that have 10 HP at the beginning of the game and 5,000 at the end of the game, it means that the HP at the beginning would be like 10 and 50 HP, and progressively in the end it will be 4,000 to 5,000. Low HP enemies doing a scenario run to RPD. So the RPD streets without this option could be technically maybe one of the worst rooms of the game. If you take this option, all those enemies are having only 1 HP. So it's in fact incredibly fun to do this. but it's only to survive to reach the RPD station. Nerf standard enemies as health boss. It means that some enemies like dogs or lickers are somehow more chunky than the boss itself. So I made some equations to make them less stronger if the thing happens. You can decide the enemy boss health, and you can decide the enemy's health. The reason why you have G1 as boss health and G1 as enemy health, it's because for the boss health and the enemy's health, it's very recommended to have lower HP for boss if they are normal enemies, especially Super X. Then, when you have done and finished this, you generate your seed. When you have this error, it means the randomizer wasn't able to generate a seed because the value of the seed is creating a path that my item randomizer considered as a deadlock. It means there is no issue to randomize it. It will end to a soft lock. So because it's an early access, you will have this a lot of time. So you have to click on this button to have a new value and generate again. It can take 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. If you have this too much, you go on the Discord, ask your problem on the RE2R channel, and to ask you of this issue, and if it's a bug, you can report it as a bug. Well, you see now the randomizer is ready. So you have two scenarios. You can either select the patch or the fluffy mod. If you select the fluffy mod, so you download the seeds, seed is ready, then this, you can put it on your, I copy this value, this folder, into the mod folder, so I'm deleting the old one and putting this one. Okay, thank you. You go on MISC, you should always refresh, and you have your scene here. You select and you click launch game. It will launch your game. If you select the pack file first, you need to be sure it's disabled here. You select the pack file, the patch one, I mean. Here you have this file. So you go on the main game, and you see in the root of the main game in the Steam app, you have those files here, and you just simply put it here, and you play the game. It's done. If you have any issues, you need to give me the information into the tech support chat. If you are having a problem to have where is the item, you click on item.log. It will give you for each room all the item. You need to know that this side is what is a randomized item. So here, if it's unknown and you have ungrenade, it means I have created an item and this item is a non-grenade. If it's like this, that you have handgun ammo, magnum ammo, it means that the default item that was an handgun, it was replaced by magnum ammo. What is this? It's not basically interesting for you. Classic means a normal spot. Locker means it's in a locker. The other interesting thing is path. Path is if you are soft lock. This is the path log that all my algorithm give you. It's finishing the game. So it will go to each room when splitting the stuff. So if you are stuck, read this one. Puzzles, it's if you don't find the document, it will give you all the solution of the game. Statue, locker, safe lock, terminal code, etc. etc. Randomizer.log is basically all the information during the generation. So if you want to take some times when you have a bug, you can see how I generate the rooms, how I generate the items, how I am generating the enemies with all the health of the enemies, how I am generating the report, text files. You have all the stuff, but you need to give me all of them as reports. When everything is done, you click on launch game. La la la. Cool. And you are, if you have this, it means that the randomizer is working and installed. Then you go on Biorand, you select your scenario, so it was Leon A, so you go new game, Leon, here it's Leon Fox Indy because it's randomized, Claire must die, and let's go. You can start the game. This is done. So I think now you have enough information to understand how it works. So I hope it will help you. I take a lot of time to explain you each of the options. So if you are lost, you can watch this video over and over. I don't expect you to watch the full video, just if you need an option or a tab, everything is explained, you go at the specific elements, but I think now you have all the information to understand and install it. So I hope that this tutorial was good for you. I will provide more and more patch into this early access pretty soon. It's taking me a lot of time, but I wasn't expecting so much people into it. The early access will be still for at least minimum amounts because there's still a lot of bugs, but there is still a lot of things to be implemented. So keep in touch and hope you will enjoy it. So see you later, guys.